All right, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I want to welcome you to Man of Steel Fan Gives Hope. That, of course, is this Facebook page that you're looking at. And if you're not on this Facebook page right now and you're on YouTube and this video you see, you can go to Man of Steel Fan Gives Hope. Just type that in your search bar up here, and you will get to my page. So welcome one and all to Man of Steel Fan Gives Hope. I'm really going to cover right now the third installment of the DCEU films. You see, you have Suicide Squad here, Wonder Woman, and Justice League coming up. And we're looking at Suicide Squad at this present time. And what we're going to look at is what we call legginess of a movie. Now, what legginess of a movie does, if a movie is leggy, that means it has a lot of legs. It means it lasts pretty long in cinemas and is still profitable. Some films are not profitable in cinemas, but they last pretty long. Now, how we're going to look at legginess in this respect with Suicide Squad is we're going to look at the double figure or triple figure millions that it has made so far in terms of on weekends. So each weekend, if it has made a certain amount of double figure or triple figure millions, we're going to count those weekends to see how long it has been in its double figures. Now, the other thing I want to do is, when we're looking at Suicide Squad particularly, we want to look also at its drop, the percentage change in drop. And we still happen to have this information on Box Office Mojo here. So if you look at Box Office Mojo, its very first week, it opened with a record-breaking August total of 133.7 million. It's roughly 133.7 or 134 million. But the second weekend, it dropped by 67.4%, which is a huge drop. I mean, there are only one more film this year that had such a big drop, and that was Batman v Superman, which was 69%, 69.1, right? So it dropped from there to $43.5 million. And then in its third week, it dropped 52%, which is not that bad. And that was $20.9 million. In its fourth weekend, it dropped to 12.2 million or 41.3%, which is not bad at all. And then in its fifth weekend, which is this right here we're looking at, it was a long weekend, of course, it made $12.8 million. This is the estimate. And so it went up by a certain percentage, okay? Now that is 5 weekends in all. Suicide Squad has been in double figures. We don't know if it'll be a 6th weekend or 7th weekend. We'll have to watch and see. But the important thing is it has gone through 5 weekends. Now, how does that pair up with other films in the comic book genre? Let's see. So when you look at Batman v Superman, you can clearly see week 1, week 2, week 3. It only lasted in double figures for 3 weeks. And then after that, it was in single figures. So it actually has less legs, even though it had more money that it started off with. It has less legs in terms of double figures than Suicide Squad, okay? And you can see the percentage drops is why. It dropped by a massive 69.1%, and then the second drop was 54.5%, which was a little better. And then if you look at the third drop here, 61.4%. So these are dramatic drops, all right? Man of Steel. Man of Steel went 1, 2, 3, 4 weekends. It had double figure numbers. But you can clearly see, even though it started off at $116 and then it moved on to 160 million, 41 million, 20 million, 11 million, you can see that the falls are pretty substantial. 64.6%, almost 65%, 50% here, and then 45% here, which explains why it drops out of the double figure margin. Okay, so it goes 4 weeks. It's better than Batman v Superman. It goes 4 weeks. But Suicide Squad has done 5 weeks so far. We don't know if it'll make 6. We'll see. Transformers movies. Now, most people agree with us that Transformers are at least reviewed by the public. If you go and look at Metacritic, or you look at Rotten Tomatoes, or you look at IMDb, Transformers is generally ranked somewhere between 54% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a rotten score, to literally 25% by the audience on Metacritic and also on IMDb. So this movie, the very first Transformers movie, on the other hand, was liked by the audience, okay? It was about, I think, 60-70%. I think 60%, right? Now, this movie lasted in cinemas. This was actually one of the better Transformer movies. This lasted 4 weeks, okay, in double figures. You see here, 70 million. It dropped 47.5, which is not bad at all. 37 million. It dropped 44.6%, not bad at all. That is 20 million, and then 43.2%, which is 11 million, and that was it. 4 weeks. So like Man of Steel, Transformers was like Man of Steel. You know, it had a decent amount of time where it actually stayed in the cinemas in double figures, right? Now, Transformers, the second Transformers movie, also lasted 4 weeks in the movies. It lasted 4 weekends, which was, it lasted from 109 million to 42 million, which is a 61% drop. 24 million, which is a 42% drop, that's not so bad. And 13 million, which is a 43% drop, and that was it for Transformers, okay? Again, Man of Steel, Transformers, the second one, they all have roundabout the same legginess, it seems, okay? At least when it comes to double figures. When it comes to single figures, that's another story, right? And then we go to Transformers Dark of the Moon, which was the third installment, and that also lasted 4 weeks, 4 weekends, right? And then the final Transformers movie, Age of Extinction, which people didn't particularly like, it lasted 3 weeks, like Batman v Superman, okay? Raked in less money. Now, what's important is, like I said, bad movies do not last very, very long. You don't, let me put it to you this way. Transformers starts off big and it drops by 63%, then it drops 56%, 39%. That tells you that this movie, you know, there was a big hoopla in the beginning and then it kind of died down. Now, a good movie, this lasted only 3 weeks, like BVS, right? A good movie will have good word of mouth, and therefore that movie will continue to go on. And double figures is a nice representation to see how long this movie is going on. There's something called 2x, which means half of the value tells us how much time, how long a movie can go on, and that tells you the legginess of it. And the legginess of a movie tells us if word of mouth passes on and people invite other people to go see the movie because it's so interesting, because at a certain point in time, advertising doesn't help you. So if your movie only lasts like 3 weeks, for instance, in double figures, and only, like in this case, only 6 weeks, it's past $2 million, or past $1 million. And then after the 7th week, it's fizzled off. This tells me that this movie didn't have much legginess, which means it wasn't necessarily a good movie. People came, watched it for a while, and then that was it. People didn't want to see it anymore. If you look at this one, so this one, 7 weeks, over $1 million, 7 weekends. This one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing, 7 weekends, over $1 million. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weekends, which is basically 2 months, over $1 million. Transformers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yes, this is good. 10 weekends. So the first Transformer movie basically shows you its legginess. 10 weekends. Over $1 million. That is very, very good, right? Oh, we don't have Suicide Squad's full thing, so we can't really say. Man of Steel only lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends. Only 6 weekends, just like most of the Transformer movies, right? Batman v Superman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weekends. Okay, again, somewhat like the Transformers movies. We don't know what will happen with Suicide Squad, so we'll have to wait to see. But the point is that kind of shows you the legginess of a movie, right? And that's in North America, of course, specific. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, 1, 2, 3, 4 weekends. It was in double figures. right? Remember, Suicide Squad's done 5 weekends. So Suicide Squad's leggier than Captain America, the Winter Soldier when it comes to double figures. When it comes to over $1 million, so we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's very good. 9 weekends is very good. Okay, that reminds me of, that's kind of like the Transformers movie, the very first one. The second, third, and fourth Transformer movies only got as far as 6 or 7 weekends, which is not good, really. Even Batman v Superman got 7 weekends. Man of Steel got 8, I think. 8 is not so bad, but 7, not really, right? So the legginess of a movie is very important. That tells us if it was a good movie or not. Captain America Civil War, it went through, how many weekends is that again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So that's not bad. That tells me it was a good movie, all right? That's what you have to look at, the legginess of a movie. Okay, let's look at the other one here. X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse. Well, we got enough to be able to go through it. First of all, it lasted in the cinemas in double figures only for 2 weekends. So, and it had a 65% drop. Now, the reason that happens too is because when critics pan a movie, they panned X-Men Apocalypse. It was like 40-something%. That does affect the durability of a movie, because a lot of people who would go in with a negative vibe towards the movie, so that could have been another reason. Because I don't think X-Men Apocalypse was a bad movie at all. But how many weekends did it go in with over $1 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends, which is pretty poor. But, you know, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie because I saw it and I don't consider it a bad movie at all. I just think that it was unfairly criticized. So it had its 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people go look at Rotten Tomatoes, but it was a really pretty good movie. Unfortunately for it, it falls in the brackets of Transformers and Transformers movies, right? Man of Steel's different. Even Batman v Superman has even a little bit more durability than this movie, which is sad, really. Some Transformers movie even have more durability than this movie, which was sad. Ant-Man, 3 weekends, double figures, and it's been in the millions for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weekends. So you can't say that Ant-Man is a bad movie. When you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, which was obviously a hit, and definitely word of mouth was positive on it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weekends with double-digit numbers, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weekends over $1 million. 12 weekends. That's absolutely excellent. You know, that's excellent. That shows it was a good movie, for definitely, and people really wanted to see it. Avengers Age of Ultron. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends. 6 weekends in double digits. That's one more. Guardians of the Galaxy had 7. That's 1 less than Guardians of the Galaxy. 1 more than Suicide Squad so far, okay? Which Suicide Squad is kind of defying the odds in many respects. But again, Suicide Squad showing it's very leggy. It's very leggy in double digits. A little bit more leggier than Suicide Squad, it seems. And also a little leggier than... a little less leggier than Guardians of the Galaxy. In terms of monies, you have 7, 8, 9, 10 over $1 million. 10 weeks over $1 million. That's very good. Look at X-Men Days of Future Past, which is a very good movie, a very good X-Men movie. And only 3 weekends it's in double digits. Isn't that amazing? It's not as leggy as Suicide Squad again. And 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weekends, kind of like with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Transformers, the very first Transformers movie, and another Transformers movie, I can't remember which one. So, again, it's still less than Suicide Squad in terms of double digits, and then in terms of millions, well, Suicide Squad hasn't finished off, but you get the point. Let's go with some others. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 raked in some money, good money, but look again. It drops 1, 2, 3, only, or 4. We have 4 weekends here. Oh, we actually have 5. Yes, 4 weekends. 4 weekends where you have it above in double-digit millions. Okay, 4 weekends, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 7 weekends where it's actually over $1 million. So it's not as leggy as, say, Suicide Squad, again, in terms of double digits, and we don't know what will happen in single digits. Let's see if Suicide Squad can continue with its millions and see how far it goes. Thor: The Dark World. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weekends it had where it was in double digits. Again, Suicide Squad beats it back. And in terms of millions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 7. 7 weekends. So it's kind of with the better Transformer movies and so on. Iron Man 3 raked in a ton of money, but again, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double-digit weekends, and then it dropped pretty precipitously after that. 5 weekends, kind of like Suicide Squad, and then it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra weekends, which makes it 10 weekends. It was in the cinema. People actually liked it and enjoyed it. So you had to consider Iron Man 3, believe it or not. I know, I don't think of it as the greatest movie of all time, but according to the audiences, it was a good movie. It was entertaining. G.I. Joe Retaliation, 3 weekends in double digits, and then after that, another 3 weekends. So it's not the greatest movie out there, but it is thing. The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises. Okay. The Dark Knight Rises had double digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weekends, just like Suicide Squad. Isn't that amazing? And after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13 weekends in all, where it actually was over $1 million in the U.S. box office. Isn't that amazing? So it actually is as leggy as Suicide Squad is, and we don't know if Suicide Squad will beat it back or what. I don't know. Marvel The Avengers. Marvel The Avengers had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 weekends in double digits. That's quite impressive. Of course, it started off with 207 million, and it had, a reasonable drop. At a certain point, it didn't drop that much. In fact, it rose right about here, and then it dropped again. And it had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weekends in all over $1 million. X-Men First Class, which is considered one of the better X-Men films, it had only 3 weekends in double digits, and then it had 1, 2, 3, 4 extra weekends, above $1 million, which comes to be 7 weekends in all. Now you have to remember, some of these movies, they start off small, small box office, so you actually have to look at their drops as well. But I'm just showing you something anyway. Thor started off with 1, 2, 3, 4 double-digit weekends, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 above $1 million, which is not bad at all for an origin film. Iron Man 2 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like Suicide Squad, 5 weekends again, where it had double digits, and then it had 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks in all above $1 million. All right, so I'm trying to show you something. Iron Man 2, and other movies, they have comparable traits to Suicide Squad, and this is what I'm trying to show you. And Suicide Squad is just an original film. Iron Man did very, very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends in double digits, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weekends in the box office above $1 million on the domestic area. And then The Dark Knight, really the signature Warner Brothers film for quite a while now. The Dark Knight, it pulled in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double-digit weekends, and it had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weekends where it was above $1 million. My point being that Suicide Squad is on course to being what we call very leggy. It's leggy for its type of film. For a comic book movie, it's pretty leggy. You've seen that bad comic book movies don't have much legs. Suicide Squad is proving it has much more legs than the bad comic book movies. So you cannot call it a bad comic book movie. And My other point is really simple, and that is we have to watch to see how it does domestically, at least in the coming weeks, to see how long it will take it for it to come out of the $1 million bracket. Because once you come out the $1 million bracket, it's not really a substantial amount of money you're making. Now, the other thing that we have to pay attention to is how the box office actually opens, right? And we didn't really pay attention to that. And what we really need to look at is the drops from weekend to weekend. That's what we really look at, and that tells you, that helps you to be able to project into the future how this movie would actually perform at the end of the day. So that is what we're doing with Suicide Squad. I hope you guys enjoy my video. I try to break it down much easier so you would understand. They have what are called X multipliers, 2X multipliers, and so on to tell you about legginess, which are much more accurate depictions. And from one gentleman named Scott Mendelson, who absolutely hated Suicide Squad, he actually projected that it's actually going to be leggier than Captain America Civil War. It's very possible it could be that, even leggier than Man of Steel, based on projections, right? We'll see how it goes. It's raking in its money. It's doing its thing still. And for those people who were thinking that Suicide Squad would rake in $1 billion at the box office, I don't know where you're getting your information from. Nobody ever thought that would be possible because no movie in the month of August has ever done that. No end summer movie. Usually things are dying down. And that's what makes this so very interesting. Because Suicide Squad is making more non-Chinese money than even Guardians of the Galaxy. It is definitely a hit. It's definitely something that the demographic that it was targeted towards, and even those people outside of that demographic, are actually enjoying. Now, I heard some people say you can't bring your kids to see Suicide Squad, and I even had was kind of swaying towards that for a minute. But you can actually have your kids go see Suicide Squad. It's not that bad. Actually, like I said, it's more like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or Captain America, the Civil War, because it's not like Captain America, the First Avenger, but it's definitely like those two movies. It's really an action-adventure film. It's not a comedy like Deadpool. It's not a Guardians of the Galaxy sort of film, even though they do have soundtrack playing throughout the film. Those are probably the similarities. Other than that, there's really nothing else that's common to those two movies. Deadpool's an anti-hero film, yes, but this is not an anti-hero film. It's actually a villain film. And what people don't understand is villains have more dimension to them than just their villainy. And I think that is where a lot of people don't seem to grasp what's going on with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is talking about villains, but it's opening up their humanity so people can see them. So they think, a lot of people assume that Suicide Squad is similar to an anti-hero film or a hero film even, and it's not really. It's its own unique thing, and the way how the tone and the setting and the editing and the cinematography is captured is so that you can see the humanity in these people and value that, because you're going to see them as villains in later movies, and they are villainous. None of them have repented of their villainy. That's what people need to understand. The other thing is, if you really pay attention, you would notice that their advice to one another and even the way how they come together is very flawed. Think about it now. You don't encourage someone to be evil, but in the Suicide Squad, they're encouraging each other to be evil. That's not a good thing, but that's the way how they communicate. So, but their evil, it actually helps them in encountering something more evil than themselves. So it works out in the end there. And thankfully Waller had for leverage. Otherwise they would have taken it down. So having said that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's an analysis on legginess of movies. It's not completely scientific. The real science comes in looking at the percentage drops. This is how you actually look at legginess of a movie. Percentage drops of the movie. This is what you really pay attention to, more than you look at the grand totals. But I decided to use grand totals to just give you a sort of perspective through time how a movie may perform. Of course, you have to look at where it initially starts from, Uh, that's also very important. I mean, if you start at 20 million, you're not gonna, stay in double digits for very long, unless you have these really small declines. So, those things you have to put into consideration when I'm talking about these movies. Based on that, anyway, it's kind of pseudoscience way. I just wanted you to understand what legginess is. You guys have a great one.